All right, with less than 3 weeks until the big day in the United States, a record 10 million people have already voted. All the early voting records have been shattered. More in our next report.
Determined and energized U.S. voters are showing up in record numbers at polling sites. We often see massive crowds and large lines at early polling stations, along with mail-in ballots coming in by the thousands. Now, the prediction is that the November 3rd, 2020 U.S. presidential elections will have a historic turnout. Let's take a look at our next report.
Americans are rushing to cast ballots ahead of the election at an unprecedented pace.
Thank you so much.
Early voting numbers indicate a possible record turnout for the showdown between President Donald Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden. According to data compiled by the U.S. Elections Project, more than 10 million American citizens have already cast their votes for the November 3rd general election, significantly outpacing the early voter turnout for 2016 and suggesting a massive turnout for the in-person voting on election day. The surge in early voting comes amid a stubborn novel coronavirus pandemic that has led people to opt for early and mail balloting, particularly among Democrats. Early voting, also called advance polling or pre-poll voting, is a convenient voting process which allows people to cast their vote prior to the scheduled election day. American citizens have the option to vote by ballots, mail, fax, email, and even web portals. In the 2016 presidential election, approximately 33 million votes were cast via mail ballots, which makes for about a quarter of all ballots cast across the country. And this year, there's been a tenfold increase in the request for mail ballots, even in states that don't usually use mail-in voting. However, the Republican President Donald Trump has sowed confusion and distrust of mail balloting,
tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated,
making repeated unfounded allegations of widespread fraud ahead of his contest against Democratic nominee Joe Biden.
They're sending out tens of millions of ballots to everybody, people that didn't expect them. People are getting inundated with ballots. They'll be showered with ballots. Everybody in this room knows it's a scam. Okay? Everybody in this room, even John. Don't say it, John, because it's a scam. Sending ballots at a level they are never going to be able to count them.
But again, when recently asked about the absentee ballots, President Trump is surprisingly okay with absentee ballot voting.
This absentee is okay because absentee ballots are fine.
As of Monday night, nearly 10.4 million Americans have cast a vote in states that report early voting data. By way of comparison, as of October 16, 2016, some 1.4 million Americans had cast an early vote. And as per the election projection, the number of ballots cast in 5 states, Minnesota, South Dakota, Vermont, Virginia, and Wisconsin, already exceed 20% of the total 2016 turnout. US Election Desk, WION World is One.
Co-presented by Skoda. Simply clever.